Greetings everyone, and welcome back to the Noctilucant channel. It's been a really long time since I've said that. It feels almost weird actually. But I'm back today, and I don't want to say I'm back, but I'm at least back today to talk about my new Noctilucant album, which is called In a World of Human Wreckage. There's quite a bit that can be said about this album. I think the thing that really kind of stands out, if you've followed my music over the years, is that it took a really long time to create it, and it's been basically in the creation phase for about a year and a half. From the get-go, the idea with the album was to create an album that was almost entirely a collaborative affair. And I was inspired by the Narratore albums by Alessio Antoni. I really got inspired by that stuff, and I wanted to create basically sort of a collaborative album, but with more of a soundtrackish kind of feel. After I did the Gavella Gland album, I got really interested in just writing more shorter songs that had more of a more typical song flow to them, rather than just the more free-form dark ambient that I've otherwise created. I got really inspired by that. It was just my own creations and soundtrack music, and then the last Atrium Carcerate album, which was a soundtrack to a video game, which is now escaping my mind. I'm really ill-prepared for this, but we'll make it appear right there and you'll know what I'm talking about. That album really inspired me after I got into it, and it was probably like the last Cryo Chamber album I really listened to and really got into, and it served its purpose. It really inspired me, and that served as the initial blueprints for In a World of Human Wreckage. So after I started composing the basic tracks, I started sending them to various artists out there to see if they're interested in collaborating with me, and much to my delight, pretty much everyone I sent it to was down for it right away. There was a few I guess, bigger name artists that I sent it to, and they were like, well, I work really slow and blah, 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 blah. I can't work with you on this. So I was like, all right. So the majority of the artists on this album are unsigned and more underground artists, but honestly, I kind of prefer it that way. It just, makes it more underground and more, I don't know, just more underground, I guess. So I had to write this down just to make sure I didn't forget anyone's name here. So the artists featured on this collaborative album, it's important to keep saying that it's a collaborative album, not a compilation. We have Scott Lawlor, Visions of Ulnahar, Psyclopean, Mombi Yuleman, Infinexhuma, Oestergaards, Palazzo's Monstrosity, Coil, Deviant, and Grune Maar. Some of you may know these names, and some of you may not, so in a little bit I just kind of want to go through, talk about each of these artists and kind of, talk about their body of work, what they've created so far, and just to kind of familiarize you with them. But kind of backtracking a little bit back to the initial phase of the album was, the creation of the album was, originally the album was going to be called 14,600 Days on Planet Earth. And the goal was to release it last year on August 18th, which would have been my 40th birthday. And I did a little math, and it turns out 40 years equals 14,600 days of life. So I thought it would have been a really cool album title. But as I started to create the album, as I started to send tracks out, I don't know, man, something changed inside of me where I don't know, man. I just lost that creative flow, and just the magic that was seemingly just naturally in me just sort of faded away. And I think a big catalyst for it was that I switched jobs, because I used to always create my music, generally in the evenings after work, and then I had a second shift job where I was working until 9 p.m. So it really kind of changed my life, but being on this newer shift has actually been a great deal to me, because I can actually sleep in the mornings and I'm not tired all the time like I was previously. So that's cool, but it definitely was a change for my workflow, and I think that was a big catalyst here. But then it just kind of, I just sort of started to lose interest in dark ambient music. I was just sort of not interested in the modern day scene, and even though I was like reviewing, I think, mostly older albums here on the channel, it wasn't really being reciprocated as well as I'd hoped it would. People were just still like okay, give me your 10 best cryo chamber albums, and I was like, I don't want to talk about cryo chamber. I want to talk about all stuff because that's where my head was. And then after a while, it just kind of got to the point where like I wasn't really sure if I even liked dark ambient music anymore, as peculiar as that may sound. I mean, I shouldn't say I didn't like it. I just wasn't like obsessing over it as I had been for the past couple of years. So yeah, all those were kind of contributing factors. And as you know from my video from about 3 months ago, the desire to talk about dark ambient music in this forum it's not there anymore. So yeah, the album just kind of kept getting pushed to the side, and I kept sending tracks out, and I was extremely happy with the results I was getting from the artists I was sending stuff. I was just like, God damn, man, like, this is going to be a really good album when it's finished. And I think when you guys get a chance to hear it, you're going to hopefully agree that it's a really good album. I think it is, I know this is typical of an artist to say this, but I think it's my best album to date. I think it just covers a lot of different emotions and atmospheres, and a lot of different styles are kind of presented within. You get sort of a soundtrackish, there's some industrial parts, there's some noisier parts, there's some more experimental parts, and then there's just like some more purely dark ambient and drone parts too. So I think it's kind of all over the place. So if you have a great appreciation for post-industrial music and just diversity in an album, I think you will really enjoy the album. I should also mention that the album was just made live on Bandcamp. I wanted to sort of release this video and the album in conjunction with each other. So after you're done watching the album, after you're done watching this video, please go check out the album. Stream it, buy the digital download, or if you're feeling extra ambitious and supportive, there is the DIY Digipack, which I'm going to show in a little bit too. Actually, I'll show it right now. So this is the basically the album cover. I did all the artwork myself. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and some people have already given me some very favorable responses to it. So yeah, I just, as it's typically gone with my artwork, I just wanted to create some sort of like really desolate, post-apocalyptic kind of feel to it. And yeah, I mean, we got a plane there, it's crashed, you get all this, just, sort of destroyed city in the background, and I sort of just put that like sort of skeleton effect over the plane, and yeah, man, I just it was pretty cool. After I got done, I was like, well, fuck, that turned out cool. And then the back cover is a photo I took, oh gosh, maybe a year and a half ago. I just really liked it, just really desolate, and I just thought it felt good as a back cover, because I didn't really feel like creating any more really elaborate art, I guess, so to speak. And then that became the back cover, and I sort of wanted to create this to look like something like a movie poster, so to speak, because this is probably my most like soundtrackish sounding album to date. So it's like In a World of Human Wreckage, starring Noctilucant, and then also starring, and then I have all the artists' names there, and then at the very bottom, the track listing. And then inside it's just blank, and then it's just, yeah, one of those sort of vinyl looking CDRs. And yeah, this will be limited to just 10 copies. 7 are left as of this video. It's $4 if you're interested, and I would immensely appreciate it if you check that out. Comes with this little plastic sleeve too, and I mean, this is very similar to all my other little DIY CDR projects I've done. I mean, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I sort of do this stuff just for myself to an extent, because I just I feel like music has to be released in a physical format, and yeah. If I just release my music digitally, it feels like it just disappears. And I think that could be said for a lot of music out there, is that like you go looking through some people's Bandcamp pages and they have like 3,000 or 4,000 albums, and stop and think to yourself for a second, like how many times do you really think those people have listened to those albums? Once, maybe twice, maybe even not at all sometimes. Like they just buy stuff so frequently they lose track of stuff. So it's important to me to release stuff in a tangible form and just physical form of some sort. Alright, so let's talk about the artists that collaborated with me in this album. So first we have Scott Lawlor, and I guess if you guys have followed the dark ambient or drone scene the past several years, you probably know Scott. He is a musician from Texas. He is extremely prolific, releases a couple albums a month, and he has released, I think, literally over 100 albums, maybe even more than that at this point. I mean, he's mostly works in a very droney style, but he also does like improvise like piano pieces and neoclassical kind of sounding stuff, and he does some noise music. He's all over the place, and a lot of it's really fucking good. But it's so much stuff that you can't keep up with it. So it's always like people have asked me like, what's the best place to start with him? And I'm just like, yeah, so much stuff. But I know there's a compilation or something that's been released, I think, on his page or maybe some other Bandcamp site where it's, guy who's got some of his best tracks. Maybe that's worth looking up. I don't know. Whatever. So up next is then a project called Visions of Ulnahar, a German project. Visions of Ulnahar makes sort of a cinematic, ritualistic, dark ambient music. He's been going for a couple of years now and got some very good albums, which I think are... if you have never heard him, definitely look him out. He has also done some more kind of dungeon synth sounding stuff and some more like astral ambient, space ambient kind of stuff. So yeah, it's cool too. Psyclopean is a artist that isn't, I think, really known in the dark ambient scene, and he hasn't really made himself a part of the dark ambient scene per se. But he has got some really good stuff. He has done a lot of albums specifically focused around H.P. Lovecraft. And it's very just really awesome, just immersive, deep, cinematic dark ambient and classical kind of style, ambient music. Very good, very again heavily centered around H.P. Lovecraft typically, but he's explored other themes too. And yeah, it's great. He has a YouTube channel called Altrusian Grace Media where he just uploads a lot of like occult stuff and writings, and he does not a lot of audiobooks and stuff like that. So yeah, really cool. Then of course Mombi Yuleman. I guess anyone who watches this channel knows Mombi Yuleman. He's probably the best like cinematic dark ambient composer. He centers almost all of his albums around cryptids and just that kind of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's super cool. All of his albums fucking real. If you've not heard them, change on immediately. He just recently, a label called Spun Out of Control just recently released a cassette tape of his new album Beneath Bridgewater, which I'm eagerly anticipating to get in the mail, but I haven't even got a notification from the record label yet, so hopefully soon, because I'm really, really excited to hear that one. Mombi also mastered the album, and he did a phenomenal job. He really brought out a lot of the more sort of subtle sounds and just made it really loud and dynamic, and just, man, thank you again, Mombi. You just did a fucking awesome job, man. And then up next, Infinexhuma. There's been no shortage of me talking about this project over the years of doing this vlog. Great cinematic dark ambient, industrial noise project. He's all over the place, but all of it is fantastic. Lucas is a great guy, and yeah, I mean, just any one of his albums I think are worth checking out. And for a period of time, he was selling them for almost nothing on his Bandcamp site, and it's just a shame that he wasn't getting a lot of attention because they're so good. I don't know. I feel sorry for the guy, but he deserves so much more attention. Such a good musician. And then we have Oestergaards from Sweden. Did a video on his album Return a few years ago. It's really cool cassette on that he released as a debut EP. He does sort of more industrial, kind of old school, very cold mid industry sounding, dark ambient. Just great stuff. I believe I haven't really been on Facebook much the past several months, but I know he was saying a few months ago he's finally, putting the completion on his first full-length album, which is just gonna be awesome. I can't wait to hear that. And then we have another pretty unknown artist, I think, at least in the grand scheme of things, called Palazzo's Monstrosity Coil. It's this project from this guy named Zach, and he was a big fan of this channel. I guess he still is. I seem to remember him commenting a lot of the videos, and yeah, he makes this sort of, I guess, industrial, experimental, dark ambient music, maybe the best way to describe it. Yeah, really heavy bassy and stuff, and just, yeah, it has, I don't know, I wouldn't really know exactly how to describe the feels of it, because no artist really immediately pops to mind, but like, his couple EPs that he's released on his Bandcamp are all just really great, and it's yeah, just more experimental and industrial, and the track on the album is definitely more, it's by far the most experimental track on the album. It's sort of supposed to represent like the character in the story, just realizing like just how destroyed and devastated the world is, and yeah, it's just this calamitous moment where he just is like, the world is gone, it's never coming back, it's fucked, and just that's it. And then Deviant from Canada, of course, you guys probably know Deviant. They about 6-7 months ago released their new album, The Bearing Teeth, which is really good. I had always sort of intended to get my hands on the cassette when it came up, and then it sold out in like a matter of days, so fuck yeah, man, good job there. But yeah, it was a really cool album again, and the first album was really good too, so yeah, really great project. This is a duo from Canada, Devin and Anthony. They do this sort of, yeah, again, kind of old school sounding, dark ambient, kind of reminiscent of the Cold Industry stuff with this spoken narration, just really deep immersive stuff. I love it a lot. And then one final artist, and I think this one's really new, is called Grune Maar, and it's a project from Hungary, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got in contact with me a few months ago. I know he had been a viewer of the channel for a long time, and he enjoyed all the videos and everything, and he started creating his own music. And he creates sort of dark ambient drone fair. It's kind of simple stuff, but really good. But Grune Maar was a new project he started, and it was sort of a little more melodic touches to it, and yeah, I gotta listen to it again. But yeah, I was really happy to collaborate with him. We made a really cool track together. I should also mention that the collaborations with Deviant and Grune Maar sort of represent a more typical dark ambient drone fare on this album, whereas the other ones are all kind of presented in that more shorter time length and more soundtrackish kind of vibe, I think. Yeah. So that's just a little bit more about the artists involved on In a World of Human Wreckage. Well, that's probably about it, guys. All I can finally say is the album title is actually lifted from a lyric from a fairly popular 90s alternative grunge band. And you might say, well, that's kind of weird, right? Yeah, I'm not going to say what the band is, and to be fair, the band only has 2 good songs to their credit, but this particular lyric always stood out to me since hearing the album way back in like 1995 or something like that. I just thought it'd be cool to use it as an album title. And it's not the first time I've done that. I've also used lyrics from more popular musicians and bands in some of my older albums. I don't know if any of you guys ever caught on to that. If so, congratulations. If not, well, I'm still not going to say who they were, but yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, it's available right now. Go check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments here, or if you buy it on Bandcamp, please leave a review. That'd be super cool of you. Digital version's available for $3, and you can get this cool, fancy digipack version for just $4. Yeah. And as usual, guys, thank you so much for checking out this channel. Thank you for listening to my music. It's amazing to an extent that just people really like my music. I never expected that when I created music. I thought maybe legitimately I thought I'd make like one album and then that'd be it. It wouldn't get any response. I'd just be like, screw this, and I'd move on to something else, as I've often done with various creative projects through the years. But I've continued on with this, and although things have slowed down a lot, I mean, stop and consider that I used to, like I think back in 2021, I actually released like 3 albums from 3 different projects, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, the feels aren't there as they used to be. But, a thing about creating music, creating art, really anything you create is, don't force it. If you force it, then it's not going to be fun, but it's not going to be honest, and you're probably not going to make good music, And I hope the feels will come back one day and I'll make a new album, but the fact that this album has just been on the back burner for literally about 6 months now. I mean, literally, I could have released it about 6 months ago, but since then, I just sort of filled in more subtle details since then, and just, I just had to wait until, like, I listened to the album and I was like, okay, this is a good album, and now that I listen to it, I think it's a very good album, and I think you guys will agree it's a very good album, or at least I hope. Yeah, that's what I have to say, I guess. Again, I'm not back to this channel. I'm having a hell of a lot of fun doing Joe's Metal Man Cave, so if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. You know, again, going back to what I said in that video 3 months ago, I had to be true to myself, had to go where the passion was and do what felt right. So continuing with vlogging, I just had to, you know, go in that heavy metal, well, specifically black metal direction, because that's just the style of music I love and adore more than anything in this world, and just felt, you know, like I had to be a part of that. But of course, that's not to say that I won't randomly do a collection update or something, something for this channel, because I've been meaning to do a collection update for the last several dark ambient albums that I bought. And when I stop and think about it, it's actually been about like 6 months since I bought a dark ambient album, which is very peculiar. But I've just been obsessed with old school Finnish black metal and, well, black metal in general these past several months, year. Yeah. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. My name is Joe, and I will see you next time on the Noctilucant channel. Enjoy the new album, and thank you so much, everyone.